Al Gonzalez here, and I've made this video to show parents and families how to make sense of all my different websites to find out what's going on in science with your child. So we're going to start here. I've got a blank page on Chrome, and the one link you need to know to access everything in science is educatoral.com. So I'm going to type that in here, and it's just spelled educator and then AL for al.com. And you can see it starts up at the top here, Mr. Gonzalez Webs. And I've got a couple of links up here for maybe 6th graders, your first time in my class, because by 8th grade, many of you, mostly all of you, had me in 6th grade. So you're aware of how my classroom works, and parents, you've probably dealt with me before. So you should be aware of some of this. I've got a link here to my classroom layout. Got an image there of the classroom, and it shows you where kids will be sitting and where everything is located. Got a new classroom this year. I'm in room 410 across from Mr. Dupreet, so the two science teachers are together now. I was in room 604 for most of my time at Chimicum, so about 12 out of the 15 years I've been there, I was in room 604. I'm going to miss that room, but this one's a science room, so we're going to have exciting times there. Another link right in this top corner here is the Parents Corner. Now, I'm going to put this video here, as you'll see, but it's not here yet because I'm making it now. But this, what I'm trying to do here is talk you through what my website has so you can find what you need quickly without having to waste too much time, because I know you're all busy people and this is what you need to find out, hey, how's my kid doing in science? How can I help? Well, this is it. This is your one stop. So basically I'm going to go over what's on this page in this video. What you see here is an explanation of the 8 major parts of my website. And I'll start with probably the one that parents will be able to use the most. And that's right here, the homework and daily work section. If you click on it, it'll take you to a page that looks like this, and I call it weekly and daily quests because in my classroom I use kind of gaming language to have it be a little different than your traditional classroom. It's called the gamified approach, and talk more about that later. What you see here, this has last year's. I've got basically every week of the entire year put up here. I try to work on this every day. So as we're working in class, I update this, and basically it's a snapshot into what's going on. So if you have a 6th grade child, you look here and you find out Tuesday, and this was during the week of May 27th. We were getting ready for a youth summit field trip. So I had to make sure kids had their permission slip and all the paperwork turned in. And the nice thing about this is you could click right here, and wherever I have information on the paperwork, you can get it. I have links to things we use in class and kids are doing. This is very helpful because it gives you a quick idea of what's happening in class, what's my kid supposed to be doing, what's due. I also have the 8th graders on the other column here. And you can see that 5th period was setting the fish traps and retrieving them. And they had an assignment that they had to do. And it was a blogging assignment. More on that later, because that combined with this site right here, you'll know everything your kid's doing in science. So that's the first link from my educatoral.com right here. Homework and daily work section. You'll find out everything that's going on. That way when you contact me, you can have a specific question instead of, hey, what's happening? The next one, as I mentioned, was the blog. Right here in the middle, class blog. If you click on that, it takes you to a page that looks like this. Now this is last year's, the 2012-2013 group. So over on this side of the page, the right side, I have all my classes and all my students. So all you have to do is find your child. Let's say your child is right here. When you click on your child's name, it takes you to their blog page. Looking over at the side here, these are all the 6th grade assignments of the year. So here's what you've got here. Every time we do a project or a lab or an activity, I usually follow up with some kind of reflection, answering a question, a prompt, so students can show me what they learned. And they put it on here, which is on the web, which means you can check it anywhere, anytime, and see what your kid is learning in science. And if it's something that you have expertise in or interest in or you know about, you can shoot me an email, schedule a time to come in and talk to kids about it. Or you don't even have to spend your time doing that. Let's say here's a blog entry on tree planting. This child explains what she did, how she planted trees. It's all to help out Chimicum Creek. And you're like, oh, that's so cool. I wish I could tell this child. Well, you can't. Look down here where it says comment. You click on comment, and you, as this child's parent, can add a comment and tell your child what you thought about what they wrote. You could do this for any of the children. These comments go through me first, so no comment goes on a kid's blog unless I approve it. So typically it's really important that I have a name and an email, because if one of my students gets a comment from somebody that didn't leave a name, I tend not to approve it unless somebody tells me, oh, that was me and I just used a screen name instead of my real name. It's really nice for me to know those, because I typically try not to publish, unless it's a real positive comment. I want the kid to see it. So that's one way you can show your children you're interested in what they're learning. And you can just do that real quick on your smartphone, your computer, even at work when the boss isn't looking. But here's another way this is really helpful. See where it says here, assignments? Well, you really can't tell what this is. Newton's laws of motion. Whoopee, I know my kid did something with Newton's laws of motion, but I have to ask my kid, or have another way to find out. I have a way for you to find out. Do this before your kid gets home. Click on the assignment, and here's what it does. It tells you what the assignment is. Share your animation or your glog with an example of Newton's laws of motion. Make sure it's clear which of Newton's laws you're sharing. Well, you read that and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, but what does he mean, an animation or a glog? If you scroll down here, what you've got here is examples of what kids who've already finished the assignment have done. Now here's what this means. As a parent, or even as a student in my class, you're stuck. You couldn't finish the assignment in class, or you don't really know how to get started, or don't really remember what to do. You click on the assignment, you read what it is, you're like, oh, I remember now. But you also get to see what other people did. So here's some examples of glogs that kids can write on, and scroll down to read everything they wrote. They can make them beautiful. It's what makes glogs so neat. They're visually striking digital posters that they can put right on their blog. Some kids, using the iPad, made these digital animations, and they put them up on the class YouTube account, and now those are on their blog. So you can watch those and read what other kids have wrote and help your child. If you think about it, there's one of me, and I typically see 130 to 140 students a year. I can get to everyone and give them brief snippets of feedback. I do as much as I can, but the more kids can peer edit each other, and the more you guys can come in and watch their work and give them some feedback, the more information kids get about their work. And that's what I want to give kids, feedback about how they are doing and how they can get to the next level in their learning. So this is one way that these blogs, plus my homework website, you can use them together to see what we're doing and check up and see if your kid's done. You look at some of the assignments here, and this kid didn't get to the CMS stewardship project. Well, you can ask your child, well, how far are you on getting your CMS stewardship project done? And this is, you might have clicked on it at work, and you notice that, oh, she didn't finish it, and now I see what it takes. So when your kid comes home, you're like, hey, how can I help you get that one done? Because I noticed it's not done and it was due yesterday. That's power. And I'm doing this to empower you and empower your child to take it to the next level. So right now you've got class blog and homework daily section of my website. I think with those two, you got everything you need. And then you can contact me with specific questions. You know, how's my kid doing? How's my kid behaving? Is my kid learning? So those are the two main ones. Now, if you want more information, down here, online progress reports. I don't do traditional grades because they don't tell you a lot. If you want just one quick snapshot, you know, my kid's an A, B, or a C, that might tell you, well, my kid's getting it, not getting it, works hard, doesn't work hard. It's a very limited view, not very informative. But if you're in a hurry, I can see why somebody would want that. What I do have is standards-based report card like they got in elementary. It goes to a page that looks like this. And I'll have the trimesters here. So first trimester, I'll link it up there when it's ready. And you click on it. And basically, you choose the class that your child is in. Put in your family last name. And then your Skyward Access password. And I got to work out whether I'm going to use family access or student access. It's what I can get from the office. And by the way, if you haven't gotten yours, you get it from the office. Go on Eagle Day. And when you view the report, it'll show you the standards that we've been working on and how your child's work has been showing that they're getting it or they're not getting it. So that gives you some information. Again, grades gives you very little information. Standards-based report card gives you a little more in terms of how much kids are getting the standards, but it doesn't go to how are they doing on each assignment. Grades do that a little bit. Standards-based report card don't do it well, but going to child's blog, that's where you get an idea of exactly what your child knows or doesn't know. But I got to be honest, it's going to take time. You have to read through it. So that's one thing you can do to see how your child's doing. And again, if you want more specifics, if your child's keeping up, behaving, that's something I can answer in a quick email or a text. And that's another thing I have on the Parents Corner is information on how to contact me. So I've got a phone number you can use to text me. I've got the school phone number. I've got my email. All quick ways you can get me if you want to make an appointment and come in and see me. Okay, now let's say you want information about Mr. G. Where do you come up with all this stuff? Where are you getting all these ideas? I've got a professional blog right here, Mr. G's blog. If you go to that one, it looks like this, Mr. Gonzalez's classroom. And this is where I write about what I'm learning, what I'm trying out in my classroom, why I'm doing it, what's my motivation, where's the research that says that what I'm doing is good for kids. And I share online courses I take. I write about them here. So if you want to know anything, let's say you're interested in why doesn't he grade, you can go to search my blog and you can type in grades. But if you look up at the top here, I've got some information. All the blogs that I write about assessment, I put here. Anything I write about education and reform, I put right there. My gamification, if you're wondering why does he use gaming language in a science classroom, go there. You'll see everything I've learned about gamification. And then grades and homework, I've got all the stuff I've written about. So here are my blog posts about the learning I've done around gamification. Go to grades and homework. And you can see, and this is where it started. And this was back in March of 2010 when I started learning some things that made me question what I was doing in the classroom. So you can kind of get an idea of where I'm coming from. Another thing you can do if you like what you read here, you can subscribe to this blog, put in your email there, and every time I write something new, you'll get an email message. You can also subscribe via RSS if you're familiar with that, if you use Feedly or something. Google Readers no longer being used. Google discontinued it, but Feedly is a good one if you subscribe to blogs and read information that way. That being said, if you go back to your kids' blog, looky here, anywhere you find RSS, you can subscribe to your own child's blog. That way, anytime they do a new assignment, boom, you get an email or it goes to your feed instead of you having to check your kid's blog every week. Your kid may not blog for a week or two because we're doing a long-term project. And if you're checking it every week, you're going to get tired and you're going to give up on that. But if you subscribe through an RSS feed, you'll get notified whenever your child does something. So that's what my professional blog does. Now down here we have a class Moodle, which when you click on that one, it looks like this. This has links to things we've used in the past. I've broken it down by 6th grade and 8th grade science and life science there. The kids will probably use this one more. I don't see parents needing it too much. I also have a podcast and movie link there, which this part has some videos, like I have a video on how to use RSS if you want to check it out. The only thing is, when I made that video, I showed you how to do it using Google Reader. Like I said, Google Reader's discontinued, so you might need to use Feedly, but the instructions are pretty much the same. And if you click on class videos, I've been putting a lot of the lessons I teach to my students on video, so that if I teach the class and 3 or 4 kids forget or need further instruction, they can watch what I just showed on video and pause and try it out instead of having to wait for me to come around and help them. Because if 3 or 4 kids have their hand up and I have to reteach what I just taught, it's going to take me a while to get to the 4th one. So these are all the tutorials on how to use their iPads for different things to get their work done in class. Really good stuff here. So I would recommend using this. And as a parent, you can look and see how to do this stuff too. That way you can help your kid or just have some fun yourself. Now, this year, I'm using a different system than the Moodle. I've got this LMS, which is like a learning management system. And it's called, I call it the World of Science Craft. That's what I'm referring to my classroom. But I'm going to create accounts for your children, and they're going to go here and sign in with a name, pretty much like they do on their blog. And let me show you an example of a student I created to test this system out. What they have here is a way to access all of the assignments we're doing in class. The assignments are going to be called quests. And basically, whatever quests you have on here are the ones that you're supposed to be doing next. So I'm going to go to the World of Science Craft. So what we have here is an 8th grader, and these are the assignments, otherwise known as quests, that are available. And you can click on each one, share things you learned about science. Once the child clicks on Start the Quest, they get the details. This tells them what they have to do and the guidelines to submit it. When they're ready and done, they will complete the quest, and I will get a email or a message telling me, oh, so-and-so here has submitted this year-long quest. It's time for me to check it, read it, give the kid feedback. I'm hoping this will help me streamline my feedback so that I can get to kids quicker. Now as a student, I'm looking here, I see that I've got 5 quests available. I've got 4 that I'm working on right now, so maybe I should work on those first. And I've completed 6. This allows me to individualize my instruction so that not all kids have to be working on the same thing all the time. Now when we're doing a lab or things like that, we will be working on it at the same time. But for follow-up assignments and reflection and answering prompts and preparing, we don't all have to be at the same place. And I think students will be much better for that because they can move at their own pace and they can choose what they want to work on at different times. We know from current research that having choice is very motivating, and I want my students to be motivated to learn science. So I'm excited to bring 3D Game Lab to our class this year. Another thing that I've used in the past is social networking for class discussions. We know that when I'm talking to the whole class, some kids raise their hand all the time and get called on a lot, and they run the classroom discussion. Even when I draw names out of a cup, the kids who aren't ready to talk get really nervous, and they may not have much to say. And then even kids who are shy, they may have a lot to say, but they don't want to come out and say it. So aside from doing those whole class discussions, because I still do that, I've used different ways to have class discussions that are more digital. Because each kid has their own device in my classroom, we can do these types of discussions that don't even all have to happen at the same time. Kid can add to a discussion 3 days later as something came to them. We know some people take longer to process information. So you go to here in the Mr. G's room 410 Science, and you go to the forums, and what I'll have here, right now I don't have anything, just a test post. I'll have a question, a discussion question. Kid goes on there, and once they're logged in, let's see, this one says testing. Let's say that one was a Newton's laws follow-up question. I read, oh, this person wrote something. This person wrote something. Oh, I have a reply. I'm going to click on add reply and say, yes, I agree, but also think that ... Now this way, your kids who have a lot to say, your kids who have a lot to say and are shy about it, your kids who need time to process and think, they have a voice in my classroom. And this voice will come out on this forum. And I can check it at any time and be able to see, okay, here's who's responding, here's who's not responding, here's who maybe isn't getting it. This will be very helpful. I've used different ones in the past, and I want to try this one because I used it on my summer courses, and it was great for me. So I want to bring this to my classroom and help kids. And that just about covers everything. So if you scroll down a bit too, I've got a classroom Facebook page that you can like, and you don't have to friend me on Facebook, but you can like my page, and I put up there links to cool science things and tech things that have to do with what we're learning, and sometimes don't, but it's just fun. And that's one thing, you don't have to friend me on Facebook to do that. It's just a Facebook page just for the classroom. So that is, in a nutshell, educatorowl.com. I hope this helps. I know I went on for a while, but if you have any questions, go to the Parents Corner and contact me. I'll be happy to answer any questions or concerns you have. Thank you.